Good morning, everybody, and welcome along to Friday's MODUS Live League here at the Icons of Darts. And we're going to start today with the reverse from Wednesday. This was the final game of the day back then, but today it is starting things off. And we can say that Diogo Portela is probably going to look for the kind of start today, the way he finished on Wednesday. We'll talk about that in a moment. He's up against Boris Koltsov, who also gets the bullseye to match Diogo's effort. Both guys looking for a very good start today to give themselves the best chance. Well, the bullseye hasn't been missed yet.
Outside.
Now it has.
All the best Boris again.
This rather cosmopolitan field that you have today has these two
100
talismans of their country in darting circles, as well as young Keelan Kay, the not so young anymore, James Hubbard. We have
99.
a little bit later on Fallon Sherrick joining us after her close shave against Phil Taylor last night in a charity match. And also Martin Adams is coming along, as well as the reigning, defending, two-time winner this week, Justin Smith of Wales, who's looking to go 3 for 3.
60.
On Wednesday, Boris Koltsov went off like a train. He got points on the board early and then petered out by the end. And remarkably, he was overtaken by Diogo at the finish based on the match that they had. Koltsov was in the running to
59.
win the title on Wednesday. And then by the time he'd played Justin Smith, it was all over.
Yeah, he shot in 3.
And this leg is all over in 12 darts, which is a very good return for a first leg. He'll be hoping to keep that going. But Diogo's final 3 matches, actually his final 4 matches in fairness, on Wednesday, one of them he lost 4-0, but played exceptionally well against Martin Adams. Just didn't really get much in the way of chances.
60.
But the next 3 he won those games, and his victory against Boris in the final game on Wednesday, averaging 105. I'm not overselling this when I say I think that's the best I've ever seen him play.
140.
He said after Wednesday that his arm felt really, really good. And he'll be wanting to replicate that kind of rhythm and form a little bit more at the start today to give himself a better chance of topping the table.
$57.
He started brightly in the second leg, leaving a finish after 9, giving himself a very decent lead over Boris.
177.
Which has been expunged. But he still has 6 from 164 because Boris couldn't leave a finish. He'll be wary of letting Boris in here.
58.
That's not what he wanted. Now Boris is forcing Diogo to take the 106.
100.
Treble 18 required.
50.
Well, his last 9 darts, he's come up dry on trebles after starting with a couple of 140s. And Boris is going to get an unlikely leg dart.
36 score.
You would think that that may be the only chance he will get.
Game shot in 3 dots.
And it is. A somewhat relieved Diogo clocking that tops with that last dart there to shut out Boris's chances of getting a 2-0 lead.
140.
But there was a pattern with Boris's play on Wednesday. That his early matches, particularly the first 3, his throw
100.
was very hard to break. Had some blistering contests with the likes of Fallon Sherrico. He will
100.
go up against just before 1 o'clock this afternoon. But when the opportunity of topping the table became impossible, his game seemed to slip.
134.
$140.
Again, the throw of Boris is looking strong. 121 after 9. Excellent adjustment from Diogo, moving to the right.
140.
And he gets a second in that 60 to stay on Boris's tail.
57.
As Boris leaves himself on 64, Diogo will hope for an opportunity at the bull. He doesn't get that chance.
55.
And has a very similar approach to that of Boris. Cat and mouse stuff.
Oh, 32.
For the second leg in a row, Boris Koltsov misses on double 16 to give Diogo the 2 darter opportunity. This one is big because it's for the break of throw. One darter tops.
Game shot in 3 dots.
Oh, and it comes up trumps. They're the kinds of checkouts. When you hit them early in the day, they give you genuine confidence. And they're the kinds of shots, in my opinion, if you're preparing for a day like this, whether it be an online tournament or a live tournament when things return, they're the shots you need to practice. It's the 64s, the 72s, the 88s. They're the difference makers. Put yourself in position for that kind of shot. If you can execute those, you'll be very hard to defeat. And the way Diogo's starting to leap forward, he's proving very hard to rub out.
139.
I went for the difficult switch on dart 6 to leave the 9 dart, I hope, still going.
180.
But as a result of that 180 from Boris, Diogo is by no means assured of taking this 4th leg.
$100.
Steady ton to leave himself on one of those 2 darters that I've just mentioned.
180.
Well, Boris, back-to-back 180s from him to pressurize the 82. Will it be 1 dart at tops again? Surely he's got to feel confident about this.
42.
Too much juice on it. And Boris, by the virtue of the score, and maybe he deserves this shot. Tops.
Game shot in 2.
Which he gets and breaks straight back in 11 darts. What a wonderful game this has been so far. We've got a bit of a feast for a Friday. Lots of games of darts, 21 in total.
96.
Keelan Kay will play second day in a row. He played yesterday, of course, scuppering the chances of Aaron Monk to win the league by beating him in the final game. He plays next against James Hubbard.
$60.
It was an interesting league on Wednesday because we had 4 players on 6 points at the end of the day and 1 player on 10.
40.
If you get to 10 points today, you will have a very good chance of topping the table. but it is not guaranteed.
180.
If you want to guarantee your spot at the top of the table, hit plenty of those 180s and get 12 points. So that way you cannot be gazumped.
97.
The 180 shooting from Boris in this match has been a real highlight. A couple of times he's left himself a bogey number for a finish, but
97.
not really signs of bad mathematics, because on both occasions he was unable to leave a finish anyway.
$100.
Diogo was desperately looking for the 140 there to leave 124, as opposed to 164, which he has left. Boris has 68. A single 5 and a treble 4, 17 to leave 51. So he's got 51 to hold.
36
double
goal.
16. And Diogo has the outside shot for the third consecutive break.
$94.
I apologise that our score graphic is a little inaccurate at this point, but Boris has got 32 left to take a 3-2 lead.
No score.
And he's outside on all three. And Diogo, taking a deep breath, will think this is a chance that he didn't deserve or expect, but one that he wants to take. Double 8.
54.
And he has not taken it. You can see the despair. And Boris returns for 32.
Yeah, aiming 2.
And manages to get it eventually to put himself within 1 of 2 points to start the day. Well, Diogo's played very well in this match.
140.
Even though the averages, there's a big difference between the two, roughly 10 between them. Boris averaging 100, Diogo 90. It's been a very tight match. There have been opportunities for both players to get the jump. Well, as it stands,
43.
it's 3-2 to Koltsov. He's on 3-6-1. Diogo on 3-1-8 after 6.
$60.
Only 60 from Diogo to leave 2-5-8. Boris on 3-0-2. We'll look at the 18s.
115.
Not a bad effort at all. The second dart in that big one was a bit of a flyer, but he does have a good lead in what could be the last leg of the match. He's on 187 is Boris. Diogo starting to veer
83.
away, but manages to rescue an 83 to leave 175. Advantage Koltsov on 187.
93.
Approaches with 93 on that treble 18 to leave 94. Diogo on 175. Needs to get rid of this.
140.
And he's got rid of most of it to pressurise Boris on 94, but it is for the match. Single 19 will leave him on 75. 2 darts. And doesn't
54.
get himself a shot at double 12. So he leaves 40. And Diogo, 3-2 down, needs 35 to stay alive, to take it to a 7th leg. And it's awkward. 1 dart to stay in the match.
Oh,
Well, he's
19.
gone too high into double 8 to leave 16. And Boris has 3 darts for the match on double top. 40 remain.
20.
Oh, and the last dart came out too late. He splits it and leaves double 10. 3-2 down, Diogo Portela has another chance at double 8 with 3 darts to take it to a 7th leg. One dart left.
No score.
Doesn't get there. Lots of misses at doubles have crept into this match for the Brazilian, but Boris on double 10 does manage to somewhat.
Diogo, cheers for the game, mate.
Stay with us. Welcome back to the MODUS Sports Icons of Darts Live League, and two more players for you to feast your eyes on. Two of the younger generation. We've got James Hubbard and Keelan Kay. I apologise for our score graphic malfunctioning in the last match. I hope it didn't detract from your enjoyment of what was a very good first match between Diogo Portela and Koltsov, which resulted in a Russian win.
Outside.
He gets the first 2 points on the board, and one of these guys will join him. James looking very resplendent in green today.
60.
A lovely black shirt. Something breathable, that's for sure. I can say that from experience.
100.
It's difficult for a dart player in this environment to leave a window open because the merest little draft will affect their dart flight.
80.
So you've got to manage the atmospherics. But Keelan Kay on a 180. Maybe he's
57.
got a bit of confidence after that win against Aaron Monk last night, which denied Aaron top spot. James with that
100.
wonderful technique, which a lot of young players should have a glance at and maybe copy, because it
94.
won't get much better than James's throw for me. Keelan leaves 36 after 12 and is showing why he is so highly regarded.
90.
Oh, God. No score.
Well, you can see that that dot slipped out of his hand. And unfortunately for him, it slipped so far, it went into the treble. James, not looking very sympathetic.
Game trying to.
Takes it out in two. And that's the exact attitude you need to have. If your opponent makes a mistake, pounce on it. Keelan has had some excellent displays over the last 4 weeks.
$96.
Wrestling with confidence and missed doubles, but the one thing he's going through right now is a very
85.
steep learning process. And if you are going to get somewhere in this game, you have to go through those lessons. And just ask James about that. He's had highs, he's had lows,
100.
and he's still here fighting away. James on 305 here and trailing, decides not to go for the 18s on the first dart.
140.
140 is good, gets him a dart in front.
180.
Drag that. Double top. On that top shot gives Hubbard a very realistic shot at holding his throw. Not anymore.
30.
Keelan back for 10s, and we'll want to polish this off. After going for double on 18s.
56.
Had a couple of options there. Chose the aggressive one.
Game room 2.
Keelan does everything right on that double 5. When you have 3 darts in hand at that double, same rules apply with double high. So we're back on throw.
59. 59.
1 all, and if one of these guys wants to be top of the table, albeit after 2 games played for today, they're going to have to win all 3 legs from here because, of course, a leg difference +2. This Friday, but as the league progresses, we will
100.
mention it a bit more. Keelan Kay will play this game and the next one. Next one is against Diogo.
96.
So a good 40 minutes here for Keelan Kay could see him on 4 points going into his game a little bit further down the track against Boris Koltsov at about 10 past 12. James rediscovering
100.
a little bit of scoring prowess in this leg. A couple of tons to leave 148.
$64.
Sensible use of the 25 there, I think. Leave himself on 84. Keelan not able to get
51.
close to the 161. And James should get at least 1 dart for the bull in this leg. It's double 11 instead.
62.
Not a bad effort, just on the outside wire. Well, Keelan decided to stay on the treble 20 there. I think that was the right opportunity. Because the lie was good, but he drags it left into the treble 5. And James has to employ that 1 outside and 1 in. Oh, he's going to split this. 6 for double 8.
Game shine 3.
And that's a good confidence boost for James. Executed that plan, not to perfection, but very well indeed. The one thing you want to do there is get rid of that 22 in that visit. That's
100.
the only thing you want to do. Doesn't matter whether it's 1, 2, or 3. You'd prefer it if it was 1, or possibly 2. But there, getting it on the last start might be a little bit of a
60.
prop the collar up moment for James Hubbard.
135.
James is really
91.
scrapping in this game just to stay with Keelan Kay in the scoring stakes. Because if anyone is slightly
44.
more explosive in the scoring right now, it's Keelan, but he's probably the more inconsistent of the 2. James's rhythm looks
140.
very good indeed. And that 140 gets him right back in touch with Keelan.
98.
James needs another ton plus score to stay in touch in this 4th leg. Wants that opportunity of getting to 3-1.
70.
Well, he knows that by not getting under 130, he's just made things harder for himself.
56.
But he is going to get a chance at it.
$78.
Good switch to leave himself on a similar out to that of Keelan Kay.
28.
But another missed double offers another chance to James. Averages, you can see, are very similar at 81 to 82. 1 dart. He gets a double 16.
Game showing 3.
And that is a brilliant kill from James Hubbard. That'll make Keelan Kay feel very, very sick indeed, because he had that leg in the bank pretty much, but James just was biting at his coattails the whole time. As you can see, all of the players are using a 360-degree lighting solution, which is a great addition to the home equipment
43.
that is on offer. Previously, you had to buy different types of light bulbs and put strip lights above your board, and you'd still have shadows, which would annoy you when you're throwing your darts at the board. But nowadays, with these 360-degree lighting solutions, you don't get shadows, which is
96.
why a lot of players have made them part of their home setup. It do take some getting used to. It feels at first like you're throwing into a tunnel.
45.
After a little bit of time, you get used to it. And James Hubbard starting this leg much the stronger, but Keelan
140.
almost hauling him in. Still behind by half a dart. So it's still in the hands of Hubbard to win this 4-1.
96.
96 from him. He's a very awkward looking 99.
85.
Keelan leaves himself on 137. And James is a firm favourite to win this by 3 legs. Is he going to go back to the trusty double 16? He is at that.
16, 83.
Inside, not far away. Keelan needs a bit of magic to stay alive.
97.
Sets up tops. But Keelan has been slightly more erratic than James, who has been clinical on the doubles
Game showing 1.
on the most part in this game. And James Hubbard does get a 4-1 victory to put himself top of the league, albeit after 2 games. Keelan Kay will stay on to try and come back from that defeat. Diogo Portela and him will fight it out to get their first 2 points of the day in a very short while. Be right back. Game number 3 then of the Icons of Darts Modus Live League. And Keelan Kay stays on the board. Unfortunately for him, it's not winner stops on. He was defeated 4-1 by James Hubbard just now. So he's still looking for his first 2 points. But so is
25.
Diogo Portela, his opponent in this one. So
Outside.
for the neutral viewer, this day has started
All the best.
the right kind of way. 2 points for Koltsov, 2 points for Hubbard. Guys, right here. I would have to say, out of the 2 defeated players so far, Diogo played a little bit more consistently in his first game, but a few missed doubles really did cost him. He had enough opportunities to beat Boris Koltsov. This could be a very important game for one of these gentlemen if they have any hope of finishing in the top 2 today. There'll be battle of the winners in the next game, so Koltsov will return against Hubbard. So Keelan gets us started.
43.
That pattern that I have noticed with his game over the last 2 or 3 weeks of lots of small 5s being hit has just started to creep into his game today quite early. Diogo will be hoping that he doesn't get many Robin Hoods like that.
83.
Quite a few miles apart, these two, playing in this Icons of Darts Live League. Diogo up in the Preston area, an area of the country that I know incredibly well. I used to live about 3 or 4 minutes
60.
away from where he currently lives. Whereas Keelan is down towards Cornwall right now.
137.
I have to admit, I am a
93.
huge fan of this new Diogo Portela shirt with the Christ the Redeemer on the front and the side. He always has brought his A game when it came to dart shirts ever since he came into the world game. And I am a huge fan of the one he's wearing right now.
$136.
136 from Diogo in his 4th visit of this match. Leaves him on 92.
82.
Pressurising Keelan, who was on 188, but he's brought his score down almost by half. Diogo favourite to take this one against the throw, but cannot on this visit.
60.
You can see that he'd much rather leave double 16 in that spot than tops, which is surprising, considering how good he's been on tops the last couple of days.
58.
But he chose double 16. Needs it on double 4.
24.
Missed doubles have been the key today for Diogo. He's got to brush up on that. Keelan Kay has had the same problem. So this could be an attritional battle of who can get
Game shot in one dart.
enough shots at doubles. And Diogo does get that break of throw in leg 1. There will, of course, be more live league tomorrow with the likes of the impenetrable Dave Evans,
95.
Wessel Nyman, myself included, and the combustible
95.
Aaron Monk. So stay tuned for that one tomorrow from 10:30, the usual time slot. But today, you'd have to say that maybe
100.
Justin Smith would be the favourite to get the 3 league victories in the week, based on how things have worked out for him in the last couple of efforts. He's been very consistent, but maybe somebody's going to come from the pack today. It could be Koltsov. Could be one of these guys if they can win every game from here. They know by losing their first game that they can only get to 10 points for their total in the points column, and that's pretty much what you need, unless the wins are shared out a little bit more. Both guys on 248 here, but Diogo's still with the advantage of throwing first. It's getting very thoughtful, this game,
29.
and somewhat scrappy. So it's all well and good when you're playing well. It's easy to maintain that sometimes. These are the times where you need to start finding something.
34.
They're hitting each other with very similar blows. And Diogo surely has to go to the 19s now. He's staying at the top.
140.
That is an immensely aggressive 140. I'm very impressed with that. I would have chickened out and gone to the 19s on the second dart.
140.
Well, one has a bad visit, the opponent backs it up. One has a great visit, the opponent does the same. Can Keelan Kay break straight back, because Diogo, all he can do is leave double 4.
Game in 3.
Oh, and he does steal. That will sting a bit for Diogo. He was in control all of that leg until that very last dart from Keelan. That's why we love the game. It's fine margins.
180.
Is he going to put in one of those bursts that we know he has? He is quite a streaky player. Then again, we like watching streaky players. We also like seeing on social media big-time sportsmen getting involved in the game. Overnight, a video surfaced of Brooks Koepka, one of the best golfers in the world, playing darts.
140.
Off the back of Tiger Woods talking about darts. So it just goes to show the reach of this game, not just during the COVID-19 pandemic, but it has reached some of the world's biggest sporting names at other times as well.
140.
140 from Diogo. Second one in a row puts him in command here.
78.
Started the bullseye for the 161.
Game shot in 3 darts.
Oh, from the scrappy to the sublime. 3 consecutive breaks to throw. And that is the best finish we've seen today. Will we see better? Start from like he can do anything.
180.
And then you come back with 43 and your opponent goes 180. The peaks and troughs of this game. They will give you grey hairs and they will send you mad.
96.
Show me a sport that isn't beautiful and makes you suffer at the same time.
70.
Because like that. Darts. You've got nobody to blame but yourself.
93.
As fast as Keelan is, he knows where things are on the dartboard. He does use the switch and double switch a lot.
58.
And with Diogo not getting to a finish there, we could have a fourth consecutive break of throw.
43.
Into that small 5 early in the visit. Not able to get to a finish from 208, and Keelan has 6 from 115. He's going to need them.
75.
He does set it up. Well, Diogo's going to be livid with on 116 with the first dart. Can Keelan polish this off quickly?
Gaming 2.
He can. That's much better. That's his best leg of the match so far. But he can still play a lot better than that. He's only young, of course, and has vast experience of big games, even for his age, playing in the junior division for England at the World Cup in Romania last year, where he was very, very successful.
Oh, Keelan, come on, man.
So there, he's pulled the dart vastly to the left. That is his miss. This time he's got lucky and hit the treble 12. But if he is going to progress, I feel, Keelan Kay, he needs to sort the pulling of that dart out. See the technique of Diogo. Whereas it tends to be a wrong visit.
$177.
Great visit from Diogo to crawl closer to where Keelan is. Still waiting for the first hole to throw today.
123.
2, 3. Hot. Double top with 1.
48.
He goes underneath. He's had a 161. The 151's not going to go.
Nice.
Get himself to the easier 2 darter. Right thing to do. If you're not comfortable, don't throw until you are. 3-2 to Keelan Kay. With that first hold of this match by either player,
74.
he is now favourite.
$96.
You see the averages. As Diogo has been
97.
having the better of that battle most of this game, but you don't put averages on trophies, and you don't have to have a
92.
better average to win. We all know that. It's just a guide for you and I.
100.
3 compacted darts there from Diogo. Another double switch there from Keelan. 2 bad darts followed by a very good one. And it's still Brazil in the box seat for leg 6.
100.
he will fancy that 130 when he returns. Only one treble required for a leg-winning
58.
dart. But he can take his time now. Keelan not able to get any ton plus scores in this leg.
94.
Excellent, excellent approach to lead 36 after 15.
140.
But now the 36 has to go. This has become a little bit more difficult now. More mentally than anything else. Nothing's changed on the board.
18.
It was a positive shot at the double nine. It was almost too positive. And Keelan Kay can win the match with this 53.
$33.
Just on the outside, that close of the eyes when you realise that double 10 isn't in. That's what we all do. And double nine
What about
said his last shot was positive. That was triple positive because there was no hesitation. He got the job done. No questions asked. Brilliant.
59.
Well, with this game going all the way to the 7th leg, both guys will remain, regardless of who wins, in the negative column and the leg difference. They'll look to rectify that a little bit later. Keelan's next game is against Boris Koltsov. Diogo's
39.
next game is against James Hubbard. It is Hubbard who returns after this to play Boris Koltsov, which will see one of those guys go to 4 points for the day.
137.
Good rebound from Diogo. Started disastrously with 23. I get to 137 coming back and visit 2.
39.
And it has put him in front against the throw.
$97.
Using the board, the lie in the bottom half of the 60, he didn't feel was prime.
100.
Has an advantage of 30 and is throwing now. Top left corner is almost perfect for him.
100.
Steady. Forcing Keelan to stay with him. He's got to be creative from 274.
Come on, 57.
Sorry guys, 1 second. I got a point out of my dot.
Running repairs for Diogo right at the end of this game. Maybe a good time just to take an extra couple of breaths. He's in position at 144 with 6 darts available. Put himself
100.
in the win column for the first time, and he will have match darts when he returns.
45.
He will have plenty of them as well. I mentioned earlier that someone might need a bucket load of darts just to get rid of this match. Well, a bucket load of darts Diogo has. He must have broken a stem or a flight. Always have spares very close to hand. You never know when you might need them. In this case, he needs them right at the end of the match.
Game shot in 2 dots.
And maybe he didn't need that broken dart because in 2, he gets the 4-3 victory and his first 2 points of the day. Portela is on the board. Keelan Kay has some stuff to think about. He will return a little bit later, but it's Hubbard and Koltsov to see who goes to 4 points right after this. Game 4 brings us a battle of the winners so far. The guys who have not been defeated. And I'm not trying to paraphrase Ivan Drago, the countryman of Boris Koltsov. Will he be defeated here by James Hubbard?
25.
He starts with a 25 and forces James to get the bullseye if he wants to start first.
Homicide.
He fails to get the 25 and Boris takes that honour.
Good on, mate.
Both guys starting with a victory. Average-wise, in their first games, and performance-wise, Koltsov, I would say, just shaded that in a quality contest with Diogo Portela.
57.
James was very plucky in his first win against Keelan Kay.
134.
Took out some key doubles. And he may need to be sharp on the doubles again, because one thing we've seen from Boris over the course of this week is very good ability to score big. Lots of compacted darts in that treble 20.
95.
So if James gets opportunities, he may have to take them first time out.
60.
Boris first under 200 in this first leg.
140.
He's very aggressive. And there are plenty of options when he didn't get the treble with the second dart, but decided to force that third dart inside the treble 20.
41.
And he has plenty of time to dispose of 51.
Game 2.
And somewhat lethally, he takes the first leg in 14. The one thing we know about Boris is that he is a very, very good starter. Not just in matches, but in days as well. 6 points from 6
91.
to start his campaign on Wednesday. Won his first 3 games, and then lost the next 3 after that. So maybe today is
84.
about maintaining the start, but grinding a little harder later on. James will be hoping
96.
to halt his process, or his progress, sorry, in the only game where he will face the Russian today.
84.
Predominantly, guys have been playing each other only the once. There have been a few catch-up games a couple of weeks ago when Aaron Monk took
100.
Fallon Sherrick's spot, and of course Anastasia's spot. We'll see Fallon
94.
Sherrick pretty soon. She will join us in just over an hour's time, when her first game will be against Boris Koltsov. And if it's anything like their game on Wednesday,
96.
it'll be something to behold. James scoring a lot more consistently in this leg.
139.
390 pluses and a ton to leave 118, but now he's under pressure with Boris getting to 100. You can understand James's frustration.
82.
Not getting close at the 60 with 2 bites at the cherry, and now he needs Boris to miss. 2 dots at tops, maybe.
60.
Music to the ears of the man from Norfolk.
Game shot in 2.
And that is how you get double 18. You can see that the guide was just outside, but right towards the middle of that segment. And the second dart was picture
180.
perfect. More evidence of how hard it is to break Boris Koltsov as he starts with a maximum.
57.
James will be looking to brush up on his 2 treble visits and possibly 3 treble visits sooner rather than later.
81.
because he doesn't want to be kept in Boris's dust.
$55.
As hard as it is sometimes when you're frustrated in a game, you've got to stay within your rhythm. Got to believe that it will
94.
click. It certainly seems to be clicking on the throw for Boris at this point in time, who gets to a finish first quite comfortably.
57.
Minimum of 6 darts from 146, and he's looking to do it in 3.
130.
Yeah, he's left double 8 after 12. I called him Boris the Bullet Dodger on Wednesday
134.
after the Snatch character, who was from the same country as Boris. He's not so much dodging bullets in this match so far. He's the one firing them.
No score.
But maybe just fired 3 blanks there. He will return. He needed
119.
more than 6 from 146 to get this leg done. But now he can't afford to miss this time.
James chosen 2.
And he manages to sneak it in with the second dart and leaves James languished on that 79. All with throw so far, 2-1 to Koltsov. Whoever wins this game will be top of the table.
85.
James will stay on for the next game against Diogo
180.
Portela. As Boris starts to mount an assault on the Hubbard throw. One of the beautiful things about this format in Phase 2
58.
of the MODUS Icons of Darts Live League is that you will have consecutive games at some point. And if you are defeated in your first of 2,
78.
got to find a way to rebound really quickly.
$60.
It's a much better visit from James. It was only 60, but all 3 darts were thrown positively and they were very straight. He's got to maintain that.
100.
But yet again, Boris, for the second leg in a row, leaves a 140 plus finish after 9. Just too strong in the treble 20 department at this point in time. And James needs to control that frustration and keep breathing.
77.
Did well there to get 77 after the first dart. He's relying too much on mistakes from Boris. Narrowly misses the 54, which would have left him on 32.
95.
James has any hope of getting to 2-2. He needs 2 trebles and a miss from Boris.
96.
But that was bare minimum. Still needs these misses from Koltsov, who chooses a different double target. And it is the right choice. Had problems with double 8 in the last leg, so decided to go away from that corner and back to the top of the board. I think that was a very smart plan.
99.
James has now got to be perfect from here if he wants to remain undefeated.
100.
It's at this point in a game where you say to yourself, be a thorn in his side, stay with him,
180.
make it awkward. Well, it's Boris who's making it awkward for James. He has been the best 180 hitter of the day by a mile.
96.
There'll be a proportion of James thinking, I just can't catch him right now.
94.
Even on the cover shots, he is not missing. 101.6 average. Sounds about right to me. Some games, your average can flatter you. Sometimes it'll be a bit lower than you expect, but I think Boris has played around the 100 mark consistently in this game.
63.
And that's 65 for a 4-1 win. And that will do his leg difference column some good.
134.
By no means over. Not yet.
Game shot in 2.
But it is now. Best performance of the day from Boris Koltsov. He shuts out James Hubbard 4 legs to 1, and he will go to the top of the table and first to get to 4 points. James will stay on the board now as he plays against Diogo, looking to get himself on that tally, but he has to bounce back from defeat to Boris. Stay with us. We'll be right back. One of these players is looking to get back on the horse of victory, and one of them is looking to stay on the horse. Diogo got his first win of the day in a very tight, scrappy encounter with Keelan Kay about half an hour ago. James has just sampled his first defeat of this Friday against Boris Koltsov, who is staking his claim as the possible favourite for today's league.
Oh, outside.
But one of these guys will join Koltsov on 4 points after this match. They'll still have a bit of work to do for the rest of the day, not just in the other games, but the leg difference, because Koltsov on +5 right now is way in front.
25.
Both players jousting it out to see who goes first.
25.
Outside.
James wins the ball.
Good on, mate.
It'd be good for Hubbard's confidence if he can rectify what was going wrong in the last game. It was just a scoring element that he was able to live with Boris Koltsov. He was playing very well, averaging around the 100 mark. And too many visits, either with only one treble or indeed none for James. So he will hope to get the grouping back up at the top of the board and give himself a bit more belief that the darts are flowing. He's not throwing poorly today. It's just a bit more workmanlike today. You get days like that where you have to grind and it is a little less natural.
177.
First somewhat maximum of this match puts Diogo in front by 40.
41.
Hope everybody who's tuned in to the Icons of Darts Live League, brought to you by MODUS Sports. Hope everybody is enjoying it.
7.
Wherever you are in the world at this time of day in the United Kingdom, where most of the games are being played by the competitors. It is 5 to 12 British Standard Time. So if you are watching from around the world, don't hesitate to get in touch at MODUS Darts 180 or indeed with myself at the Asset 180. If you've got any questions, please fire them across.
45, sorry.
Well, Diogo disgusted with that 45. Leaves him on a bogey number and gives James more time.
40.
And this is a much better leg from James to start this match, leaving 24 after 15.
131.
And Diogo is right behind him. The perfect guide
Shot in 2.
and the perfect execution. In the previous match, he did exactly that on the one leg he won against Boris Koltsov. It was on double 18, so nothing to worry about in that department. Steady 17 dart start.
49.
Hope everybody is staying safe and staying in touch, of course, around the world.
100.
It's important to keep in touch with the elderly members of your family and, of course, the people who may be on their own.
140.
This has been a great way for us to not only entertain you guys through this tough time, but it's good for the players to have people to play against and bounce off. There is a little bit of banter in between games between players, and everybody's wondering how everybody's doing. And these are two of the good guys.
100.
Diogo is a learning machine. Whether he wins or loses, he is always learning right now how to improve.
96.
He soaks up information from his peers like a sponge. And that's why he has improved vastly over the last 2 or 3 years.
58.
James comes from a darting family, of course. His father Vic used to play for England with the great Eric Bristow and all of the old school greats like John Lowe and Bob Anderson. So quite the pedigree in that household. Quite the man as well, Vic Hubbard. What a hero.
96.
James, outside chance for 149. Just glances back at his score.
97.
One of the things that the players have had to get used to is putting their little score tablets within their eye line. They're used to looking at the left-hand side of the board, but here it's the right side of the board for
48.
Diogo. Pulls it slightly left to offer James a chance of 2-0. Goes to double 16, which has been useful today for him. Now, that's tricky. Might have to go to the top of this segment.
Game shot in 3.
Oh, it's a beautiful shot. Acknowledged by Diogo correctly, I might add, because that was not an easy shot. Might be the best start he's thrown today.
$81.
I had a message from a dart player in the Berkshire area called Paul Croucher in the break between games, saying, "Have James's polo shirt made from the remnants of Boris Koltsov's curtains?" Well, maybe he is wearing green today as inspiration from Boris's curtains. You just never know.
100.
Artists and sports people get motivation from the strangest quarters. Diogo's inspiration for his shirt is got to be something to do with the Brazilian football team. You've had some of the best football shirts of all time. I'm surprised that James isn't wearing yellow as himself, because he's a big Norwich City fan.
100.
Two 0 down, Diogo. And
140.
that 140. He still needs a mistake from Hubbard in this third leg, who has scored much more consistently in this game than the previous one. Seems to have fixed
140.
what was going wrong against Koltsov. Well, I'm not sure why Diogo's went south there. Surely staying on 60 to try and get the 180 for double 12 was the play. We shall see, but Hubbard for 14, now 15 on double 10,
70.
and misses at double. Gift the chance of this two-darter. Maybe this is why he left the 100. He wanted the two-darter.
60.
Oh, you can see how frustrated he is. Two darts at tops and nothing in the way. He's not able to penetrate that red bit. As James on 10 splits for double 4. Did this earlier this morning.
Game shot in 3.
And he's done it again. Last time it was one dart at double 4. This time it's 2. And on both occasions, it proves to be the right plan. If Hubbard was to win 4-0 or 4-1, that would most definitely get him back in the race for the top spot today. Obviously wouldn't help if things were close that he lost to Koltsov, but there are many other people who will challenge the top of the table by
84.
10-6 tonight, which is the scheduled finishing time.
$60.
Average is very similar, and similarly to the Keelan Kay Diogo Portela game, the averages are lying to us.
180.
The best 3 scoring darts of the day for James Hubbard. Manages to put those really close together.
41.
And he's in a fabulous position now to win this 4-0.
60.
Not a sky-high average, but when you look at the scores that James has had, everything's been very, very straight.
42.
It's Diogo's turn to feel frustration. James has got to stay focused here. He can't allow Diogo to
77.
get really close to him, but that 77 was enough to get him to a 2-darter.
$100.
So with Diogo not getting to a finish, Hubbard has 100 left and 6 darts for a 4-0 win.
$80.
Positive effort, and he will return for 10s. Not his favourite of doubles, but you will take any double on the board with 3 darts in hand for the win.
$81.
Diogo recovers well after the first dart won, but it's out of his hands now.
Game showing 1.
So was the game.
Well played.
James Hubbard, what a bounce back after losing 4-1 to Boris Koltsov. Manages to get a 4-0 victory against Diogo Portela. That was his best performance of the day. Still room for improvement from him. He will know that. But he's back in the race, and he's on 4 points. Keelan Kay and Koltsov come back now to see where they will be after the next game. Please stay with us. last game of the morning. This one we will be joined by Justin Smith, who will play against Diogo Portela.
Outside.
With Keelan's third game of the day coming up. He is so far without any points.
Outside.
Quite the opposite for Boris, who is in charge of the league at this point, but has been hauled in by James Hubbard. He's on the same amount, and one behind him. His game in hand. So if he remains to a healthy advantage at the top.
25.
All the best.
All the best, mate.
And the fact that he's throwing first here says to me that he will be a heavy favourite, potentially. His scoring today has been
59.
predominantly good, but a few weeks.
100.
Slowing up by the end of the day.
134.
Now, Koltsov will play his last match of the day today against Justin Smith at around 10 to 4. So after
97.
an explosive start this morning by getting 4 points, he's going to have to pace himself for the next 3.5 hours. Or possibly. Of course, but Keelan will have first shot for the leg.
81.
He's hoping to leave double 18 there, Boris, and he skews that last start into the 1. Bullseye
102.
for Keelan, just shy. Maybe he thinks that Keelan's got this one in the bag, and he does. Yesterday, Keelan didn't have much joy. He didn't come across as with a great deal of confidence through most of the day, and then all of a sudden the shackles came off.
125. $96.
He still can, of course, get 8 points, which could be good enough to get second spot.
134.
But I don't think anyone's going to win today on 8 points. I think the field is too strong. I think 10 or 12 points will get it done.
81.
Even though Keelan is almost a dart behind here, he's in a pretty good position anyway.
87.
Again, he drags that dart left. I don't want to sound like I'm saying it a lot, but it is happening at very important moments.
$72.
Happens twice here, and have to a finishing shot.
Game in 2.
Koltsov does not need asking twice. Well, I suppose technically he does because he got it on second dart. Koltsov, who averaged around 100 against James Hubbard a couple of games ago. Best performance of the day so far. Maybe looking for more of that standard to keep Keelan at bay. Dropping.
$40.
guys are not slow, to say the least. They are very rapid players, but they do take that tiny pause before they get to the hockey, which I like. 180 there from Keelan, just to compose and find the sweet spot on the hockey where they like to stand.
180.
There's a sweet spot. 60 hasn't been missed. Zone. Very explosive, but very inconsistent at the same time. And with time, you would hope that that will change.
180.
There's more evidence of it. 40, 180, 45, 180. And Boris has 1 dart. Consistency. Possibly 3 now.
26.
Oh, he's at double 5. Drags the dart left. And Boris comes back.
20.
Oh, and that's the second time he's done that today. 3 darts at tops and missed all 3. It's exactly the same pattern last time. 2 high and 1 low. And Keelan makes the thing you can't do is go inside on dart 2.
Game 3.
And Boris steals it in the end, and it is only a hold. The averages have tumbled down. But Keelan, he's going through the mill a bit today.
43.
This is going to challenge the mental side of the game. And
60.
of course, if he's paying attention to the misses that he has had, possibly his but throw, very natural.
Oh, Keelan, come on. 84.
$59.
Koltsov with the very closely shaved head these days, trying to massage his inner Michael van Gerwen.
80.
Well, no trouble so far in this leg for Boris.
180.
If Koltsov does get another big victory, the rest of the players have got a big task to catch him. They do have games in hand, of course, the guys and the girl who are going to join us this afternoon.
60.
But the pressure is on them to perform and catch. There's
84.
They will return for tops.
80.
Keelan has left himself positioned on 96 just in case, but this is for a break of throw for the Russian.
40.
You have to late that denies Keelan a chance to hold his own throw, and the Russian comes straight back and in no time at all is 3-1 to the good. A glorious position to be in, 3-1 up. They're throwing first and hoping for a second consecutive. Make that gap a little bit
54.
more. And that's exactly what he hasn't done. He's offered Keelan a chance to get back into the leg with only a ton.
No way. 59.
He's unable to do so. Sometimes when the finishing line is so close, you can think too much about it. Averages